What if you could clone yourself 5 times and they do the work for you? That's what this setup does. N8N just dropped an AI agent tool and I used it to build a full AI agent army. They handle research, outreach, scheduling, scraping, lead generation, all on complete autopilot. Let me show you how it works. The first agent is the email agent. So I'm going to bring up the chat here and I pasted a quick message, which is create a draft email to Dan to confirm dinner at Blue Cuisina on Friday 8th at 7 p.m. Use the following email address. Once I hit enter, you can see that now the project manager is actually taking control and it's now using the email agent. It's accessed the language model, and for the entire workflow, I'm using Gemini Flash 2.5 because it's lightning fast. And you can see that it's accessed the create draft email tool. And if I go inside of Gmail, you can see that I'm inside of the drafts section, and here's the email that it's created. So effectively what I've done is I've used AI to create a personal assistant for me. The next agent is the calendar agent. So what I'm going to ask it to do this time is I want to update my calendar to schedule dinner at Blue Cuisina on Friday the 8th at 7 p.m. And so now you can see that the project manager has taken control again, but this time it's now using the calendar agent inside of the workflow. It's accessed 2.5 Flash and it's used the create event tool. And if I go inside of my calendar, you can see the actual event that's been scheduled, which is this one here. And this is great for me because I will never miss another appointment again. The next AI agent is the web agent. So now I'm going to ask the chat, what are the most recommended dishes at Blue Cuisina in Dempsey Hill? It's now using the project manager to oversee everything, but this time it's now going to use the web agent, which has access to Gemini 2.5 Flash, but it's also going to use Perplexity. And if you're not familiar with Perplexity, it can actually do deep research on the web. So if I open up the chat, you can now see the most recommended dishes at Blue Cuisina in Dempsey Hill, and it's got all these dishes. And yes, it's a Greek restaurant and I love Greek food. The next agent is the YouTube agent, and this time I'm going to ask it, what are popular Greek dishes on YT or YouTube? Send me the details and video links. This time it's going to access the AI agent tool for YouTube. You can see it's going to scrape YouTube using API, and if you stick around, I'll show you exactly how to set that up. So let's come back with the following. Here are popular Greek dishes, and it's got all the actual dishes here. If I scroll down, you can see it's actually got the video links on YouTube. And this is great if you want to do some quick YouTube research. The last agent is the Google Maps agent. And this time I'm going to ask it to find 5 Greek restaurants in Singapore and send me the details. So now it's going to use the Google Maps agent. It's going to access 2.5 Flash, and then it's going to scrape Google Maps using API. And that takes a few seconds up to a minute, depending on how many results you need. And for some reason, it's not returning the details. That might be an issue with the API scraper, or it could be something inside of N8N. But if I go inside of the scrape Google Maps HTTP request tool, you can see that API did actually scrape all the Greek restaurants and the details that I asked for, as you can see on the right hand side here. And if you're enjoying this video, do me a solid, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. So how can you build an AI agent army that takes control of every single task, either in your organization or your client's organization? Well, let me show you. For this example, I used the workflow trigger, which is a chat message. Now you can use any trigger that you want. It could be Telegram or Slack. The first agent is the project manager agent, and you can find that inside of the nodes panel. Just do a search for AI agent, and it's the first one that you see in the results. Inside of here, it's connected to the chat mode, and so the prompt is going to be the chat input. And then as with any AI agent, the most important part of it is going to be the system message or the prompt. So if you go inside of here, you're going to see that the prompt is, you are an ultimate personal assistant. Your job is to send users query to the correct tool. That's all it is. It's a delegator, it's a project manager, it's an overseer. It doesn't actually do any of the tasks. It will actually use the sub agents, the AI agent tools to do everything for it. It has access to a think tool, because I find that when I'm using or building large automations, the think tool makes everything run a bit more smoother. The email agent, the calendar agent, the web agent, the YouTube agent, and the Google Maps agent. And each of these agents are responsible for everything that I showed you at the start of this video. Some rules: so do not attempt to manually write emails, summaries, or content. Always delegate to the correct tool. Always use the think tool at the end of each task to verify you've done the right thing. So there's basically another layer to double check that everything has been done correctly. And then I've given it some instructions, I've given it examples, and then at the end I've added today's date. And that's important if you are using functions like calendars, because it needs context, it needs a starting point. And because this is the project manager, you're going to need to turn on return intermediate steps, because everything that the sub agents will create gets sent back to this agent. And on the right hand side here, you can see the output, and this will show you everything that's been done by the project manager at this point in time. And because we have an AI agent, we're going to need a language model. So for this, I'm using Google Flash because it's lightning fast. So just connect it up, and at this moment in time, the API is actually free. And then I've added some simple memory. So if you go inside of here, I've given it a context window of 10, and that just means how many past interactions the AI agents have inside of the chat window. And I've also added the think tool, and the think tool's description is just whatever's the default. And when you run the entire automation, it will give you a response, as you can see on the right hand side here. So the first agent is the email agent. To find that, you just head over to the notes panel and do a search for AI agent, and you'll see here it's got the AI agent tool. As with any AI agent, you're going to need a language model, so connect it up to 2.5 Flash, and then you can add as many tools as you want in here. So I've added 4, which is send email, get emails, create draft, and email reply. I'll show you the create draft, but they're more or less set up the same way. So inside of here, you need to connect it up to your credentials. So I'm just using this Gmail account. The resource is draft because I don't want to send out the email. If you're going to use this in a production environment, it's always a good idea to have a human in the loop step. Make sure that you check the email before it gets sent. And then for the subject, I've just added the AI to create that for me. And then the same is true for the message body. I'm just going to let the AI do that for me. And the email address, because I enter that into the chat window, it will then extract that and use that as the sender email. Setting up the other tools is more or less the same. It's just that the functions will change. So you can see how a system like this is supremely powerful. You can basically delegate any tasks either in your business, in your personal life, or if you run an agency, in your client's business. The next agent is the calendar agent. Again, you're going to connect it up to a language model. And this time I've got a few different options here in terms of tools. So first one is create an event with an attendee. The second one's create an event. Third one's get events. Fourth one's delete events. And the fifth one is update events. And you can add all of these or you can take some of these out. It's very customizable. Since I created an event, I'll show you that tool. So you connect it up to your Google Calendar account. And for this, the operation is create. Again, it's the same calendar, same email address. And then this is from the AI, as you can see here. So get the values for the start and the end based on whatever I type into the chat window. And remember, the project manager agent is overseeing all of this. You can toggle on default reminders. And then for the summary, you can just put in from AI event title. So just let the AI handle it for you. And again, it's more or less set up the same for each of these other tools. And this is great if you're anybody like me who forgets appointments, who forgets to schedule appointments, or somebody who uses multiple calendars. The third agent is the web agent. And this is also going to use Gemini 2.5 Flash, but this time I plugged in a Perplexity node. So Perplexity can help you search the web. If you haven't used Perplexity before and you want to use the API, just go over to Perplexity, sign up for an account. You're probably going to need about $5 in credits and then get the API key. And then you set that up as a credential inside of N8N. The operation we're going to use is message model. And the model I'm using for this is Sonar, but they do have other language models like Deep Research and Pro. I'm using Sonar because I'm recording a video and I just want a fast turnaround time. And then for the text, you just let the AI define it automatically by using the model. So this just means that the project manager agent will send all the instructions down to this sub agent. You don't need to map any fields. The fourth agent is the YouTube agent. And this is one of my personal favorites because I'm somebody that obviously creates content on YouTube. With the YouTube agent, you can create and scrape all types of content. So again, remember to connect it up to Gemini 2.5 Flash. But this time you're going to need a HTTP request node. So go inside of here, you're going to see a method which is post, a URL. And I'll show you how to get that if you stick around. And then we just send some body because with APIs, the instructions that you send to the API server, the payload is always done through JSON. So the body type is JSON, the specific body is JSON, and I'll show you how you can get all this information. So head over to Apify. The great news is that they give you $5 in free credit for you to test this out. And the YouTube scraper that I'm using is by a guy called Streamers. Now, if you've never used Apify before, it's basically a marketplace full of scrapers. You don't have to build any scrapers in Python. You don't need any virtual servers. You don't need any proxy servers. They handle all the messy stuff for you, which is great because these guys have like 6,000 plus scrapers. You can scrape any type of content and you're not breaking any terms of service by doing it this way. What's great about Streamers is that it will only cost you $5 to scrape 1,000 videos. So it's super cheap. And the way to get your API key is head over to where it says API on the drop down, and then you want to select API endpoints. And then the endpoint that you want is run actor synchronously and get dataset items. So this will get you the API base code and the endpoint, and it will actually add your API key onto the end of this. So copy this and then you paste it where it says URL. And if you want the JSON code, you just go back to the scraper, go into input, and then there's two ways to do this. You can use this manually inside of Apify, and you can do this scrape manually, and they've got all the options that you would input, or you can use JSON and do it, using automation. So click on the JSON tab, and these are all the fields, everything that they say that we need to send back to their scraper. There's only two dynamic fields that I've added. The first one is max results, which is from AI. So whatever you type into the chat window, and the second one is the search term. So the topic of the video. Again, I'm going to let the AI do this for me and send it from the project manager agent down to this sub agent. And the last agent is the Google Maps agent. Now you can use the Google Maps agent for anything you want. If you're in a production environment, a good use case is to find leads because this can scrape any business in any city or country using Google Maps, and it's completely automated with Apify. So this time you're going to need an AI agent for Google Maps. It's connected to Flash 2.5. It's going to use the HTTP request node, and it's going to call the Apify scraper, and I'll show you exactly which one I use for this. So if you open this up, this now is almost the same, but it's got a different endpoint because it's now using a different scraper. And then as before, we need to send the body, which is JSON, and the payload is also JSON. And this time I'm going to let the AI determine what the JSON payload should be, but it's based on a structure that the scraper tells us we need. So for the Google Maps extractor, I'm using this one by Compass, and again, it's super cheap. It's only $7 for 1,000 results, and you can see the inputs here, so you can run it manually. So you can get the search term, which is the keyword, you've got the location, and you've got the number of searches to extract, and the process is exactly the same. So you want to get the JSON code, which is quite simple. So all you're going to need is the language, the location, the number of search results, and the actual keyword. In this case, is restaurant. And if you want the API key, it's the same process. process. So head over to API dropdown, click on API endpoints, and then go to where it says run actor synchronously and get the dataset items. Again, you're going to copy this and then head back into the scrape Google Maps node and then just paste it here. Once you run it, you'll see all this on the right hand side, so you know that it's worked. And there is one more thing that I need, which is the structured output parser. So what I asked the AI agent to do was to create 3 variables. One is location, one is type, and one is number. So location is obviously a location of the restaurant or the business. The type is what's the keyword. So in this case, it was Greek restaurant. And then the number is for the amount of searches you want the agent to scrape. And I need these because I want to plug this into the AI agent for the scrape Google Maps node. And there you have it. This is the entire swarm. There's 5 or 6 agents here, and you can make this as big or as small as you want. It looks complicated, but it's really not. And if you think this is super hard to build, let me show you where you can download this inside of my private community. The link is in the description of this video. So once you sign up, you'll be taken to this group here. Some of us own AI agencies, some of us are side hustlers, and others just wanted to learn about AI and how they can use it to make money. So inside this group, I'll show you how you can use scrapers to get clients, how you can use no-code SaaS to sell services, how you can build apps using no-code builders, how you can reverse engineer viral IG reels that generate 18 million views, and this is all automated using AI and N8N, and how I land $2,000 clients using free lead scrapers. I've also got a classroom, and so this will show you how you can launch your AI agency in 16 days, but I've also got all the AI automations and blueprints. So everything that you see on this video, you can download from this section here, but I've also got some automations that you cannot find outside of this group. So click on the link in the description and I'll see you on the other side. And before you go, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, turn the notifications on, and I'll see you when the next video drops.